We're giving a class tonight on civilian response course, active attack events, stress response, and it's titled Run, Hide, and Fight. This is coming from Sheriff Joe Guy. It was a PowerPoint, so I took as many pictures as I could. I couldn't take them all. Sometimes he was flipping them fast and talking just one pertinent thing. And a lot of his talk was on, like I said, other than church, so I didn't get too much of that. Personal issues. So what's one of the things you're going to think of with personal issues when somebody comes in to shoot? Mental trauma. And he suggests to develop a critical incident stress plan. Be prepared. He said you can't be too prepared. Somebody said, well, how often should you do that? He said, often as you can. So, I don't know what plans we have to do that, but it might be a good idea. But a lot of the presentation drawings he had were on other, like schools, where he had a lot of classrooms. I mean, if somebody comes into church, it's one room, one place to run, 2 doors. They don't have exits on them, do they? Never noticed that. Till now, when you need them, may need them, I don't know. That's Lonnie's job. Oh, I'm the safety officer. Okay, so see, yeah.
Maybe for every service that's going on, we should have, is there a crash cart when you get out there from the
Yes, you can get out there, but you have to turn the knob, but it's not locked. It's got special. It's fire code. Yeah. Lonnie had to put on special locks. You can't get back in, but you can get out.
This church, we got a bunch of exit spots all the way around this wall. A bunch of windows and those springs, you can hop out any one of those.
Well, we'll get to that in a minute. Okay. He couldn't stress enough, this may be a little bit ahead of time, but when the police come, he doesn't know who the shooter is. He may not know who the shooter is. So if you've got a gun, you better drop it and hold your hands up. That's his number one. He mentioned that at the beginning and at the end of the course. He said, because we'll shoot, that's what we do. I said, we understand that. Follow commands, show your palms, do not move. That's when the police show up. But you may be so excited, may be a hard thing to do. May not be thinking about it, but you need to think about it. The attacker has no profile. He has an avenger mindset when he comes in because he knows what he's going to do before he gets here. He may or may not broadcast his entrance. And that brings up my next point, which I don't have a picture of, is the greeters at the door need to be observant of the parking lot, who's coming in, and deacons when possible. I know in Florida, when I was head deacon there, every 15 minutes the head deacon went out and ran the parking lot. But back in those days, that was more for theft. People coming in, seeing what they can get out of cars. Has anybody heard of Lieutenant Brian Murphy? That was the shooting at the Oak Creek massacre in Wisconsin. This lieutenant was the first one on the premises when it was going on. He got shot 15 times, but he wouldn't stop, wouldn't go down. He kept trying to get him. He would have gotten killed if the second officer hadn't shown up and killed the guy because he was coming over to finish him off. but he fired a lot of shots at him. I don't know if he hit him, but the officer that showed up killed him. That was, I believe it was in 2012 when that happened. That was at a church. Deny and hide. You don't want to deny what's going on. That's why you need to be prepared for a situation like that, like it might happen. Positioning. Okay, if somebody was close enough to come up behind him, he didn't know was there, what would be the first thing they would grab? If somebody was able to get him, what would they do? The gun, the weapon. Always grab the weapon. Sheriff Joe Guy said, always grab the weapon. He said some people have grabbed the person and gotten thrown off and gotten shot. Grab the weapon, he said, because, I got to thinking about that. When you grab something, is somebody trying to take it away from you? It's not easy, is it? But, of course, I don't know if they grabbed him around the neck, but anyway, it wasn't a good idea what they did. And fight if at all possible, and move around. I mean, don't try to stay in one place. Shift positions. I guess that helps throw him off balance. I don't know on that part. Okay, if you have to run and there's a room to, of course, in our situation back here, of course, it could happen in the social hall also, but we have 3 doors, but they're not always unlocked, are they? We really don't want them all. Never wanted them unlocked, but kids go out. Some people go out. But in that situation, we'd need all 3 doors. But anyway, something to think about.
I think technically, whenever the church was in session, all doors are supposed to be unlocked.
They should be unlocked. That's a safety issue then. I guess we might as well educate our deacons to do that. Okay, barricade the room. A lot of the kids in the schools, they didn't barricade, and one door they could have locked and didn't lock it. Everybody got killed in that room except for one that got wounded, and one guy went out the window. 16 others got killed. And that was the 6th room he went to, and they hunkered down with him shooting all the other rooms. 1, 2, 3, 4, they were the 6th room, and opened the door, and it wasn't locked, and they could have locked it. Could have all been saved. But that was a school. Door stops. If you get into a room, if you have a door stop, that's the most effective, more than a lock. It's just hard to open a door with a door stop, like we have going upstairs to the video room. Block the door with whatever you can find, a chair, heavier the better, and more the better. And then try to hide yourself. Don't stand there in the open. Turn the lights off. Lock the door, turn the lights off, and stay out of sight. I have a picture. He was telling us about one situation where, well, this isn't the guy that got killed, but he hid under something. The guy got killed. He said, run. He said, every time, do not fall down, because he's going to find you. And here he definitely would. He said, your best chance is to run. And don't make noise, because the ones running, I mean, if you're over there screaming, that's going to draw his attention, and he's going to be the first one you go after. He'll shoot. So, of course, all this might be hard to happen, to keep in your mind when it's happening. But we need to think about it. Of course, leave as soon as possible. That makes sense. And know your exits. and then call 911, not assuming that somebody else has. That's happened before. Another thing that you can do is deliberation. Try to talk him out of it, I guess. Is that deliberation? Do I have the wrong word? Negotiation, thank you. Now that makes sense, negotiation. Thank you, Victor. Deliberation, avoid, equal run, deny, equal hide, defend, equal fight. If you hear gunshots, take immediate action. Don't wait for him to come in or say, what's going on? And that's when you go to deliberation. Don't deny what's going on. No, if somebody was off to the side, like in that room there, and came out, and he didn't know it, that'd be the only chance of getting him, or somebody was on the corner over here when he came in, he didn't see him. If you have a chance to grab the gun, but that may never be the chance. Well, I don't understand that part from him. He talked a lot. I don't know what his take on that was, but it has happened. A preacher one time talked a shooter from doing it at a church. He talked about that. Where it was, I don't remember. But it was a black church, and he was talked out of doing it. Lonnie. Teresa, not Nelson. John. Well, another thing that he mentioned when they come in, of course, there's people on the back row. I mean, they're just that far from him, right? Is to pick up the songbooks or anything in Bibles or whatever you can and throw at him. But it looks like to me that would draw his attention. You'd get shot first. I don't know. That didn't make sense to me. I can't hear you.
When this person comes into the church, assuming it comes in the front door, how do you alert the congregation so that we don't have a stampede and hysteria?
He's going to either start shooting or talk first and then start shooting. So if he starts talking and you see a gun, you run. If he starts shooting, you run. Yeah, people are going to get shot, but not as many. That's what he said. There are people going to get shot, but not as many people will get shot.
Anytime you become aware that there's a shooter, that's the time you actually run.
That's correct. It's time to run. Don't stand around and deny. Yeah, well, we need to get with the deacons, I guess, sometime and go over some stuff in case something happens, like watching the parking lots and whatever, you know. But other than that, I mean, like this sheriff, when he showed up, the shooter was in the back of the truck. I guess he saw him come up, so he went outside, and when he got out of his vehicle, he started shooting at him. Of course, he would have gotten killed if he didn't have his vest on. But one bullet out of the 15 ricocheted off the top of the vest, I guess moving around, and went up and scraped the top of his skull. That's how close he came to dying.
Now, the scripture, can Sabbath school lesson this morning. For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of sound mind. It's 2 Timothy 1:7.
Okay. That's Lonnie's department. Even if it had blanks in it, no, you don't want to fake it, but yeah, but still, you know, nobody wants to shoot anybody, but if you have to, you have to.
How far does the taser work?
I'm sorry?
How far does the taser work?
Not very far. You have to touch them. Oh, if you shoot a taser. Oh, with the string? Oh, I don't know. I don't know anything about that. They go quite a ways. That's a good idea. Because he wouldn't probably be looking up there, reach over and tase him. Yeah, that's a good idea. I like that. Get a taser. Church needs to get a taser, Joe. How quickly all of this happens depends on how many get shot. You stand around, you're going to get shot. Okay, the attacker connection is 39% come in knowing who they're going to shoot. That does not happen in churches, though. That's in mostly schools, and that doesn't happen all the time, 100% of the time. But businesses is number one. Most of the shootings in the United States happen at businesses, not in schools. What did I tell you? Businesses, churches, and schools, in that order. 30% of the shootings in the United States happen in churches. 50% are in businesses, and they know who they're going after. Remember the salons that got shot up and other businesses? But now the ones that shot up a couple Walmarts, I don't think they knew. I don't think they went in after a certain person. I don't believe. Yeah, he knew who he was going after. He knew who he was going after. Now, the Walmart in Orlando before we left, they had been looking for this guy. Somebody called 911 and said he's here at Walmart. He was in his vehicle. By the time the female sheriff got there, he was not in the Walmart yet, and he saw her drive up. She gets out of the car, starts walking towards him, and he shoots her dead. So she made a big mistake on that, because they knew he was dangerous and had a gun. So if you're out in public, this is probably more out in public for stalking. If you see people harassing people or threatening behavior. If somebody doesn't seem to be in their right mind, or talking crazy, call the sheriff. But you don't know if they may have a gun on them. None of this says if he had a gun. If he had a gun, naturally call the sheriff. And again, when the sheriff shows up, if you have a gun, drop it. Hold your hands up so you don't get shot. Any questions? This is a crash course, but a lot to think about.
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. Kathy and I were talking about this afternoon, and we were saying if somebody came during, should we give this testimony?
Well, we probably have a lot of questions that weren't on audio anyway. Who? Just what I talked about. Yeah, they were just a PowerPoint. He probably had 50 more than this, but they were not pertinent really to what we're talking about tonight. A lot of his talk was on why so many people got shot in different, and he had the actual shootings of wherever they were in the United States, and probably a lot of time was on that. Because being the sheriff, most of the time they see the shootings, it's not at churches, it's at businesses or domestic situations.
We were talking about what should happen if we're in Sabbath school. And of course, we're all spread out, you know, the children especially. And Kathy and I were thinking there should be some kind of signal, like Lonnie uses the bells to let us know that Sabbath school is over. You could have like 3 bells mean this or 4 bells mean that, to let the Sabbath school teachers know that something's going on and that they need to lock their doors and get the children down on the, you know, hidden behind things and stuff.
Well, no, not stay in the room. Get out.
Well, but I'm saying if he's like here, or like the adult Sabbath school that's in the fellowship hall,
Right.
we need to let them know out there that there's a dangerous person here.
I understand
And
that.
that they need to lock their doors so he can't get in
They
there.
got windows. Windows don't stop bullets. If they get the bells, the teachers should be taking all the kids and running with them out the back to the woods. Far as just keep
Well,
on running.
There has to be some kind of system
Signal.
to let them know.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Well, you know, the problem that I see with that process is that the bells don't only go out there, they go in here too. So we're gonna have all the bells ringing in here, which would alert.
That's okay, because everybody needs to know.
Anyway,
Well, a lot of people are going to be running out of these doors if he comes in the front. So, of course, hopefully somebody would run to the classrooms and get them out. That'd be one thing we could be educated on somehow or another. Yeah, windows don't stop bullets.
But see, in schools, I mean, we were told, lock the doors, you know, hide.
Hunker down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm thinking out here.
Well, one thing about a shooter when he comes in, he doesn't have time to think. He's not going to take much time. Oh, if this takes too much time, I'm going somewhere else. I'm going to do something else. That one, was it a lady or a man that went to a business, and when the sheriffs came, they went to the office first, showed them going down and upstairs, and she was trying to find people. They weren't around when she went in. So nobody got shot except for her.
We could put his bills in a safe and say, I'll show you where the money's at when he goes in there and lock the door behind him.
Well, some good suggestions. Anybody else got a suggestion?
The thought that comes to my mind is that we need to have a more
Go.
we need to have a more concentrated plan at the entrance of the church
Yes.
between the greeters and the deacons.
That's something I'll try to work on,
Okay.
and I'm sure I can get some stuff off the internet on it. We'll call Joe Guy. Okay, that's all. Well, we can cut the tube. I didn't rehearse this at all, so I hope I did okay. I felt like if I rehearsed it, it wouldn't have been as good.